And everybody, we're back. This is Corbin, the Serpent Tongue Skipwith.
This is Rand, the Berserker Marabou, and this is
SAGAS.
SAGAS. A winter edition for you, bro.
yeah, no one can see me, but I'm like blanket, gloves, scarf, beanie.
Yeah, man. It's so funny, right? Because it's 2 degrees more here, but I'm in a t-shirt. We're used to this crap weather, you know?
No wonder why you're a Viking.
Yeah, yous are spoiled with that lovely weather over there, man.
Good days.
Right.
So, you want to introduce the album since it's yours?
Yeah, dude. Right. So this week we hit Amorphis and the new album by Amorphous Halo. It was a band I wanted to chat about for a while because they're a legendary Finnish band, Finland band, and I don't know. I think they deserved a lot of praise for the music they've given us since the 90s, like, you know. So yeah, Halo is their new album, 2022, and I hadn't heard of it until I said to you last week, because I was chatting to Corbin last week here, and I was like, we have to do an Amorphous album. And then I found out to have a new album out only a couple of months, so I was like, perfect. So it was a new album for me, even though I knew the band, and it was absolutely a joy to listen to, you know, because I think they've really burst through where they were. I mean, they were always an amazing band, but they've really taken it to a new level. And the interesting thing is that it was recorded during lockdown, you know, during the whole pandemic quarantine kind of vibe. So that even in itself makes it even more awesome. What was your initial thoughts, bro?
All right. So, interestingly enough, this is the first album, because normally when I do my study, obviously I'll go on the main things like Wikipedia and try to search. But this is the first album where I couldn't click on the Wikipedia link. It was like the only album that wasn't. So this episode will be basically my feelings, how I feel about the song, because I can't.
Right.
But it was really good, and I'll just start off by saying this album kind of proves something that I've thought for decades now, or decade. There's this weird, it seems like this is weird, not curse, but this weird magic around Finland. Like, they can't make any bad music. I've never heard a bad Finnish song or band. Like, I don't know, I've even seen bands targeted to kids, you know, dressed as dinosaurs. And even they sound good. I'm like, what the hell? Why can't they make bad music? And this is 2022, and they're still making amazing music. So 1 point for Finland.
Yeah, man. I tell you, their gift, whatever's in the water over there, like, it's the same. They're not Scandinavian per se, but they're up that side of the hemisphere, and they all have this gift of songwriting. I don't know what it is, like, and these guys are no exception in that. I mean, this album itself, when it was released only a couple of months back, it hit Finland's #1 in the charts, which I was so happy to hear, you know, in their home country. It was brilliant. But it done really well everywhere else. It was like hit #3 in Germany and Sweden, #3. And that was in the physical charts in Sweden as well, and the rock charts. US, which is this amazing. It's a 4 in the US as well, like, in Switzerland 4, UK 4, Austria 7, which I was a bit surprised about that, but I mean, that's still kick ass, you know, just looking at the rest of the stats. But like, hitting #1 at home is amazing. Because they've done everything right with this album. It's interesting because during the pandemic, they usually go to Sweden and record with a guy called Jen, Jen. He's an amazing producer that's worked really closely with this band for quite a long time. And this time they couldn't go and fly over to his studio. So they ended up working from a studio in Finland, in Helsinki, where they're from, and remotely, Jen remotely produced it, which, you know, for an album that sounds like this, to be remotely producing an album, it's it's absolutely outrageous, carry on, like. But they have a really cool documentary behind it and all. Like, they they really went all out. It's a short documentary. Just highlighting or an overview of the recording process in parts. But I know they really, really pulled it off. But the whole Finland vibe as well it's huge in this, especially lyrically, because these guys work off. You could compare it to, I work off the prose edda. It's like the handbook of those times, like a book of poetry, and everything that we know about Norse history comes from that book. But these guys have their own source. It's a book. It's very similar. It's a book of poetry from Finland. It's called I'm probably going to say this wrong, but it's the Kalevala. Kalevala. So sorry, all my Finland friends out there. Brutal about pronouncing, but yeah. So it's really cool because there's all that mythology and folklore based around Finland, and that's their kind of source. But the interesting thing is that they have a lyricist that's not a member of the band that writes all this stuff. He's an artist and a lyricist. So I'll get to him after a while. But the other interesting thing is that they use a lot of symbols, from the folklore of Finland. And as you can see, bro, my Milner that I wear all the time, them boys wear something similar. It's called their deity is called Ukko, Ukko, and he's like a Thor deity type. Because they're over with the Slavic and Baltic pagans, over that side of the world. So it's very similar. It's they just have their own kind of viewpoint on it. But he's the Finnish god of thunder, kind of thing. So it's very cool. Like, so basically they're singing about Thor characters, and it's very cool. So you'll see on this artwork and all other artwork, just a tiny bit incorporated. You'll see like a Milner, like a Thor's hammer, but it's Ukka's weapon, which is called Ukon Vasara or something like that. So yeah, it's really cool. It's all this like really deep historical, lyric based stuff, and I obviously I love that straight away. I'm just like, I'm engrossed, man. I just want to learn all about what you are singing about. But yeah, so you literally ticked all my boxes straight off the bat there with this album. I mean, I always loved them. I thought they were brilliant, and they were the last couple of albums they started getting into more progressive metal. But this has it in spades, absolute spades, like.
Yeah, well, going back to what you said, like, I found it interesting how my research of the band, it's like they apparently, because I mean, I still haven't heard any other album from these guys besides this, but this is their first. Apparently, they started off as a death metal band. I can't imagine that. I listen to this album, and obviously I hear death metal influences, but to imagine them as a whole album of death metal, like a whole Cannibal Corpse album, like I just can't imagine that happening, because they're so creative, they're so melodic, and they have such deep roots to symphonic metal and that kind of subgenre. So it's like I'm just trying to picture like them just meat and potatoes death metal, and I just can't picture it. But I will say, so I'll start by saying this. I think when I was listening to the first track, Northwards, I really found it interesting how the keyboard solo sounds similar to Deep Purple. There's a solo there, and it reminded me like of what's the song? Highway Star and Burn, the two songs of Deep Purple, and like you get that keyboard, that funky solo, and it's just my mind just went straight Deep Purple, which I'm not sure if that was intentional. I don't know if that was like a tribute to them, like a shout out to the iconic band. But yeah. First track in, I hear that solo, and I'm like, yes, this is what I'm looking for.
That's it. I mean, that's a big part of this band. What makes them stand out from other bands that might be in the kind of same genre. The keyboardist, he's been in the band since '98. Santeri, his name is, or something. He's just like an absolutely gifted musician. Like you see him recording in the studio, and the stuff he comes out with, it's absolutely amazing, and it really is a homage. Like his style, you can very much see it be coming from the 70s progressive kind of rock stuff. And I absolutely love it. Like his work on this album is just beautiful, and he goes as far as he records in a big church, you know, with a big church organ. There was one, and it was like, I don't know, 20 feet in the air with massive pipes, you know, these massive church pipes. It's beautiful. And to see him sitting in there recording like that with his laptop, you know, it's like, it's just, it's beautiful. But yeah, he really brings the band to another kind of sonic level than most bands, because not only is he playing these sounds, but he's playing them like really playing them. Like, you know, it's not like I'll just throw down a few additional instruments like say I would do here. Like, I wouldn't call myself a keyboard player or anything, or a pianist, but I you know, I can play the notes and I can add to the song. But his stuff you could play on its own and it would sound like a beautiful song, you know. Like he's just one of those gifted we were talking about Beethoven earlier on, dude. I could I could put him up there with Beethoven. He's that talented, like. But the other cool thing, speaking about instrumentation, I've been dying to talk about this all week, is their use of the Dan Electro sitar guitar thing. Anybody that hasn't heard about this, Dan Electro have made a guitar that is essentially a sitar, and you know, it looks like a guitar, but it has like this extra part where there's these small little strings, and then there's these super crazy, I don't know what components of this pickup that vibrates, and it's just it's a genius instrument. But you hear it on loads of old famous songs, like the very start of wherever they may was it Metallica, Wherever We May Roam or something it's called. Boom, down, 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 down. That's that same sitar guitar, right? And you know, Rolling Stones would use it on Painted Black, and it's just this beautiful sounding instrument. And these guys just, you know, in small doses in tracks, but then there's one song that has like a solo. It's track number 2 on the Dark Waters, and there's like a sitar solo. And I was joking with our manager Kimo during the week. Well, not joking, I was dead serious, Kimo. If you're listening, I want you to do sitar on a song. But we were just chatting, and because he has like an actual sitar, you know. And I was listening to this track at the moment. It just came on just as we were chatting about sitar. And then obviously I looked more into it and found out that they're actually using sitar, electric sitar, like a modern version of it. But anybody, and like, I don't know, I could talk for days and days about this instrument. It's absolutely amazing. And to hear them use it on this album, it just totally got me super excited. They just love to try all different things. Like, you know, there's no, you know, not everything that they want to try and do, they'll try and do it, you know, and most of the time it works. Like I said, there's that huge church organ. They have timpani drums, you know, xylophones, everything you could think of, pianos, you know, all. But the interesting thing is, the guys claim that this is their heaviest album in a while, and one that's more guitar driven, more guitar based. And you know, I'm inclined to agree with them. But when I got into them first, it was back with, you know, the old death metal kind of stuff that they done at the start. But maybe they're referring to Tommy's vocals. Before I get into Tommy's vocals, I'm gonna pass it over to you to say a bit about whatever you're feeling about the instrumentation, because when I start talking about Tommy's vocals, you're not going to be able to shut me up.
Right, we're going to have another repeat of whatever episode that was.
Yeah.
Was it? Fuck it.
Mastodon or something.
Yeah, that's right, Mastodon. So I'm going to say this. I think for listeners who have stuck with us, if there are any, have stuck through from the start to now, I think you guys will find the common thread when it comes to symphonic metal bands. Whenever I talk about them or whenever they come up, I think I think I come across with a very not pessimistic, but a very skeptical attitude towards them. Sometimes I'll say they're too soft, like that one album we did ages ago. Sometimes I'll say it's too heavy, it shouldn't be counted. And it's like to me, I'm very particular about this kind of genre or subgenre because I feel like there needs to be, for it to be a great album, it needs to be balanced properly. Like I feel like too many bands are either one side too soft, one side too harsh, and it's just like you can't call yourself melodic if you're not syncing it properly, because otherwise you may as well just be like ASMR, or you may as well be death metal. You can't be you need to find a way to be both, because most of the time a genre is called melodic death metal or symphonic death metal. It's not just symphonic or metal. So to me, this was a refreshing take, because I honestly felt that this is the first album, at least in a while, that I've heard in this subgenre that actually everything clicked. Everything sounded in unison. There was a perfect amount of metal, perfect amount of symphonic, melodic, and this was the first time, like I said, in a while where the vocals, the harsh and the clean, and the vocal harmonies really synced well together. So to me, this is the first time I'm listening to the album, and I'm like, yes, this is what symphonic metal, if you're going to call yourself that, this is what you should strive for. This is the kind of balance through an album that you should have. And I think this should be, and I find it interesting how you said that they said this is their most heaviest album in a while, because to me, this sounds very melodic, which I'm curious to hear their other stuff then, if this is heaviest, because it must be a lot more smoother than this. But yeah, to me, this is the perfect 50-50 come together. Production, instrumentation, vocals, everything just hit perfectly in the center, truly earning the name, if they call themselves that, melodic or symphonic metal.
Yeah, I mean, like I hit on earlier on just about Jans. His full name is Jens Bog Ren, so he has Ren in his name, so he's going to be awesome, right? So he is. It's what's really interesting about it is usually when a band work with a producer, the band might give an idea of what they're going for, and the producer runs off with it, and maybe the band will tweak a few things or give a bit of input. But Jan's involvement with these guys is he's done quite a lot of work with them over the years, and he really takes his producing very seriously. Like say for instance, like he's mega tough on the guys. You say that like this album is pretty flawless. Like it's just one of those productions where it's flawless. It's not overproduced, but it's flawlessly. It's crisp, and like you say, it just flows lovely. And that's because Yen basically he's tough on the guys. Like if they're not happy with a take, he'll get them to do, like say Tommy's vocals, for instance. He'll have him doing like so many takes, and Tommy's like, do it, I can't do anymore. He's like, do one more, it's like a hard training coach type thing. But it obviously gets the results, and I'd be afraid to work with him. I'd be really afraid to work with him. But it'd be a pure gift in the same sense, like that. You're gonna get something brilliant out of it in the end. But what's cool is at the end of the day, whatever he says about the production goes, which is usually not really the way. They might do a bit of work, and then the guys will be, no, I want this and this changed. He'll just say no. I mean, even to the fact that there's 30, they gave him 30 tracks for this album, and he picked the tracks that they were putting on the album, and he whittled it down to 11. So he got rid of like 19 tracks. He's like an extra member of the band. I think that's really cool, and that's the way you have to work it with a producer. But hitting on the vocals again, Tommy's vocal producer, he went to a different studio and recorded his vocals. He went to a guy called Jonas Ulsan, and he has just a small vocal recording facility. And he's like, basically he's his vocal producer. So he produced the vocals and then he sent it on. But it was a lovely, nice, relaxed vibe for Tommy to do it. And I don't know, man. It's just Jonas has this lovely, more the polar opposite. The ends. It's like a very comfortable environment, very chill and zen, which is what you need for a vocalist, really, because especially when you're doing stuff like this, because Tommy went heavier on this album than he ever did. You know, I think that's where the heavy element that the boys are chatting about. Like, honest to God, I haven't heard a heavy vocal so sweet in all my life. Like, I mean, we chat about heavy vocalists all the time, and it's my aspiration to keep graduating in the ranks of heavy vocalism. But definitely Tommy is a pinnacle to hit. Like, I find it interesting when they're doing his vocal lines when he's singing. He has a really nice voice as well, like very lyrical at times. I'll talk about the last song later, but it's very lyrical the way he swoops with his melodies. But to be able to do, like, we were chatting about Ghost Man last week, and Tommy though is like, he's absolutely gifted at singing and absolutely gifted at his heavy death metal vocals. But they're heavy and death metal-y, but there's just something else in there. Like, there's an extra warmth or smoothness about it. It's very hard to sound smooth when you're singing raspy and gritty. Like, it's mind blowing. It's such a pleasure to listen to as well. Like, you just sitting back, and every time he kicks into it, you're just like, oh man, what the hell? It's absolutely incredible. So, he'd be a highly regarded heavy vocalist in my opinion, and he's a super cool dude. You see him as well, like, he's just an absolute badass. Like, that's the thing about this. But there's 6 of them in the band currently, and each one of them has like exceptional talent. You've got the guitar player, Isa, and the other guitar player, Tommy. There's 2 Tommies in the band. They're lead and rhythm guitar, and they've been in the band since 1990. They formed the band basically with the drummer, who Jan is the drummer. He joined the band, or found a member of the band, left the band in '96, but then came back in the 2000s at some stage, or I don't know. There's been a bit of shuffle anyway, but most of the time he's been the same drummer the whole time. And he has a really interesting drum style, which it's absolutely unreal. His use of ghost notes is just you don't hear it that much in metal. Like, it's like he's a jazz drummer or something. And that's what makes these songs, like, it's like they should be heavier at times, but they're not, because of the way he's playing his drums with all these ghost notes and shuffles, and like he's like altering the timing. Like, it should be like a stonking big riffer, and then all of a sudden he throws in this kind of like, it's almost like tripping as you're walking, the way he does it. So it kind of slows down the pace. It's just incredible, like really magical stuff to listen to. I'll hit on something about his drumming later on that I don't like, but it's tiny, absolutely minuscule, and it was more of a choice of his rather than a technical ability. But yeah, so as a band, they are absolutely gifted souls, and being from Finland, what else would you expect? You know what I mean? Anybody that's listened to us recently, I've mentioned my lovely managerial team for the band, Tajit and Kimmo. They're both lovely, amazing people from Finland. So all the talented musical people are from that end of the country, on the end of the world, should I say. Anyway, I digress, bro.
Well, I'm pretty sure next time, just to avoid that embarrassing rambling of you trying to explain drums, we'll get Terrence next time, just hiding in the corner to explain it properly. That was quite the embarrassing little drum flipper. Anyway, so interestingly enough, when you were talking about the vocalist and how he has this, which I agree with you, this smooth, calmness to him, even though he's doing harsh vocals, it kind of reminded me of Valvello. Like, because never do you listen to a hymn album or song and you never feel harsh. Yeah, even when he screams, I mean, it sounds like either passionate, romantic, or it sounds smooth. It's that warm. It never sounds evil from Valvello somehow. And it's just like, I think he has the same qualities. It's like he can do those harsh vocals, but without it sounding anything evil. Like he just has that kind of spirit about him, I guess, which is, as you said, really unique because you're not meant to be able to sound like that when you're screaming, when you're shouting. It's like, because normally if you're shouting, you're pissed, or you're trying to sound pissed, or you're angry. But for him to pull that off, it's really quite amazing. And, you know, I'll talk about so for example, talking about track number 7, which would be Seven Roads Come Together. I think I really enjoyed that track because of the power metal groove that it had to it. When I was listening to it, I was like, oh shit, this is some Dragon Force type influence. Maybe it wasn't, but it reminded me of like real powerful, but real technical at the same time, like kind of almost futuristic. And, you know, it was interesting when I was going through this album, listening to it, the same common thread came through my head with every song that passed. So with every new song, I was like, damn, this intro is sick. Damn, this intro is sick. And then it made me realize these guys are the masters of intros. And I thought about it, I'm like, every song on here, I have been blown away by the intro and how it flows into the song. And it's like, it's not, to me, the only other band I can remember that does such exquisite intros that make the whole song, in a cooking sense, the whole dish flavorful from the first bite to the last, is Cradle of Filth. The only band that takes so much care into their intros. And it's just like, they're doing the same thing. Every single song has such an amazing intro. Some of them have a power metal influence. Some of them are like death metal. Some of them even more technical than the rest. But it's just like, every intro is just, it's like an exciting teaser for what's to come. And instead of trying to write notes for every song's intro, it just made me think like, these guys are the masters of intros, and this album has 11 flawless intros. And for an album, obviously, as you would know, that's not easy to do. And most bands, obviously most bands wouldn't take that much care into every song intro. And fair enough, it could be a tedious thing to do, I imagine. But the fact that they do it just gave me real Cradle of Filth kind of, obviously not in style, but in intricacy, in, care in how they did the intros. And I really respect that because I don't say that lightly. I love Cradle of Filth, and for them to have the same kind of regiment structure to their intros to make it sound so luscious and beautiful, it's not easy to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. We've discussed bands that like a good intro and how important it is to both of us that bands do that. It's interesting in the song "The Moon." There's this lovely. Actually, when the song starts, it sounds like Australian prog to me. Like it's more like Carnival or Dead Letter Circus or I don't know. Like it's a mixture between the two of them and Insomnium that we spoke about a few weeks ago. It's like a crazy. It's only a very short little bit, but it kind of sets it up in a very different way than you'd expect from them. It's tonally it's very different. The same with Windman or going off last week's Ghostman. We'll call this song Windman. Windman. This is again, it's like this like mystical flute kind of vibe. There's a really nice intro on that as well. Like it's a beautiful thing that they do. But then again, it's just that side of the world, man. They just have that lovely mystical kind of view on things, and if you're gonna start something off, start it off right. But like that brings me on to The Moon because they it was their big kind of music video that they released. I think it was only released 5 months ago, and it has 838,000 views. You know, for a melodic death metal band in 5 months, it's pretty decent. Like, you know, they also yeah, it's a lovely video. It's black and white, you know, real arty with this like wandering character, just like this actor man going around these like vast, empty kind of wilderness places. But it's like it's beautiful, but yet it's sad. It's just that's I don't know who made the video. I must look that up, but it's a really nicely put together video, and it's doing really well for them. I think that was their second single, but the first single was Northwards. Northwards. It's there's a lovely 3D art lyric. It's more of a art video for it, but it's got lyrics in it too, so you call it a lyric video. And this brings me on to the artwork. I absolutely love the artwork. What do you think of the artwork, bro?
Turns out the artwork is starting to become your segment. What did you think of the artwork? That's Ren's new segment. To me, actually, when I was looking at this artwork, the first thing that jumped to my head, and I'm not sure if you're even familiar with this band to begin with, but it made me think of, for some reason, the colors just made me think of the 2010 album by Bring Me the Horizon. Yeah. There is hell, believe me, I've seen it. There is heaven, let's keep it a secret. It's like, it has the same, like, to me, the same, like, because it has a half dark, half light, and like the guy on the Bring Me the Horizon, he's half black, half white. Color. Yeah. And it made me think about that incident. I was like, hey, this one too. But besides, after that, it's really interesting because, yeah, as I just said, the parallels, you've got the dark side and the light side, and then you've even got the darker shades on the square, the rectangle thing, and then the little light beaming through the middle. Yeah, I think it's really cool. And then you have the cool little font saying, you know, the band name, Amorphis. Yeah, I think it's really cool. But yeah, if you find that image, I think you'll see there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that one. And you know, now that I look at it, it's by an artist called Jan Simolin, but his kind of name, or is it her? I'm not actually entirely sure. Is Valnor is like the artist name. As I was meant to look up whether it was a male or female, so I apologize out there, but I love the artwork that we'll just say she produces, or he. What do you think? We'll toss a coin. He or she?
It's
heads he. It's a she, right? Of course, like, you know, all the women are better. But they've worked with all amazing artists like Neribu and Primordial, which is an Irish amazing band. You know, t-shirts for Trivium, Paradise Lost album, Black Dahlia Murder album. It's just really striking, vibrant work with like really beautiful coloring, and it's always something I wouldn't say surreal, but it's always got, I don't know, it's just some otherworldly imagery or geometric shapes, and the colors. It's always almost like it's layered with colors, like transparent over other colors schemes. It's absolutely beautiful. I'd love actually a bit of artwork from Jan or Jean. Jean, it must be a girl, it must be a woman. Jean, I was reading that wrong. Yeah, Jean. Do your research, man. That's what we get the haters saying. But this then brings me to another segue. Amorphis are on tour soon, and they're doing a North American tour. I think it's already started. I think they were going in April. It's 4th of May now, so it's already started. But to all our American fans out there, do yourselves a favor and go check them out. I think they're going from New York all as far as Baltimore, and where else? Oh, I was meant to say all our United Music Mafia friends out there. Big Sean, OG, they're in Tampa. So that's the hometown of the label that my band is on, and myself and Corbin work with. So Tampa, Big Sean. Go check him out, man. You'll love them.
Well, I was gonna say I may as well segue as well. Did you want to? We'll start doing the shout outs and promotions first before we get onto our devilish little end game.
Oh, devilish
do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I think this week I'm gonna chat about Cassidy's guitars again, because I put up a post on my on the band page during the week about the man himself, Simon Cassidy. He just makes incredible instruments. He's a really, really nice guy. It's a pleasure to work with. So anybody that's looking for a guitar for their birthday or Christmas or Easter or Mother's Day, Cassidy'sGuitar.co.uk is the place to go. That's me for today.
You always only just have one.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll start off with a different kind of OG, Zach Moonshine. Now, if you're a band or an artist, I assume he takes both, looking for some PR work you really can't find anyone else. We've been working alongside, I've been aware of his stuff. I would say maybe a year now. You're probably obviously more work directly with you in your band. So if anyone's not believing what we're saying or unsure, you can just message Ren and he will tell you, I guess, specifics of how he helped them and his band out. He's a genius. He's above all else a workhorse. And I think if you're looking for someone to help with your PR, that's what you need the most. Someone who's reliable, who's going to get the work done and not fuck around. And that pretty much describes him in a nutshell. So go check him out at, let me get the link out. Talk about doing our research this week. Actually, I have my research. I just put the thing. So go to Zach so that's ZACH at Metal Devastation Radio, oneword.com, and contact him today. And go. Okay, this next one, as you all know, if you're weekly listeners, is very important to me. Big Gas Digital Network, something I subscribe to every month, and here's why. I pay money. I could easily watch it free on YouTube, but I pay money to support the guys, because if you love something, support it. And these guys have, so what it is, it's a network of comedy that has over 30 different shows. 30 different shows, all different types of moods, all different types of subject matters. They all have their own little personality. I've tried a few of other ones out, and even though my hands are full with so many podcasts, I can't check them all out. They are very hilarious, and they have their own thing to them. My favorite one is the Legion of Skanks, which I promote every week. 3 comedians come together with their own unique personalities and characters, and just make an hour and a half of the best content you can find anywhere else. They do a Zoom show and a live show every week, and you can find it on the network, or if you really can't afford it, which is fine, it's on YouTube. So just subscribe to their channel on YouTube. The first 10 minutes has to be censored for the algorithm purposes, to keep it on YouTube. So that's why I subscribe as well, because I like the uncensored version. But either way, first 10 minutes, skip that if you want, and the rest is uncensored for your pleasure. And I checked out the last episode a few days ago, and of course, as I expected, it was hilarious. They did a great bit where it had they were talking about an old clip from episode 22, which is amazing because they're on episode 600 now, like plus. So 22 all the way back, and apparently one of them, Lewis, had he found an old poem that he wrote to his girlfriend that broke up with him, and it's the funniest. And they started mocking it and saying it live on the podcast, and it was hilarious because like he doesn't know how to write for shit. So it was the funniest thing to ever hear, and I was like in tears laughing the whole time listening to it. But yeah, this and other great stuff every week. Go check it out, and yeah, it costs you under $20 a month Australian, and trust me, it's the best $15-$14 you spend every month. And yeah, that would be me for today.
Nice, bro, nice. So it's that time again.
Diablo's advocate.
Advocate.
Do a solo. Oh, what is this? Wow.
Right, Diablo.
You picked up the guitar, didn't even do a solo.
I know. I gave you one note.
One note. Wow. How generous.
No.
So,
I'm
who wants
not
to start?
No, I like you say, it's like we've become quite formulated, I think, already. And I always say, you go ahead, bro.
Oh, how generous. So I have a strong feeling. I have a strong feeling that we'll at least have one the same. I have a feeling. I can't guarantee about the other one, but I have a feeling that actually, just to keep the suspense up, I'm going to say the track I thought was least, just so we can see if we're right on at least the best. So for me, the best track of this, so the worst track of the album is the song, which you actually mentioned already, Wind's Mane. And like, I know we won't agree on that, but here's why. And it's really, when you have an album this good and you play devil's advocate, it gets kind of harder and harder to, because really, I mean, obviously no one wants this, but for our sake, for the podcast's sake, when you listen to a new album or an album in general that we're reviewing, you really hope to find one track that just stands out like a sore thumb, and you go, oh, okay, that one, cool, done, easy job. But most albums we review, they're not like that. There isn't just that one song that go off. Like, so it's really hard because Devil's Advocate, most of the time, we're going to get picky. And no one wants to do that, but because we have to, we do it. Now, Wind's Mane, the only reason why I chose it, the only reason why it sticks out for me is because I feel like this is the only song in the 11 that feels 70% metal and 30% melodic. Now, it kind of, to me, throws a bit of rhythm out because it's like the rest of the songs are so perfectly synced with melodic and metal, and this one just felt too much on one side. But I mean, there was a sick solo towards the end, and there was some great vocal harmonies. It's just, I don't know, I just felt like it kind of threw me off balance from the rest of the album. So it's really nitpicking at this point because it's a good metal song. It's just compared to the album. If you listen to the song as a single, it's fine. It's a great song. But if you listen to it in the context of the album, I just feel it had, the one quality that stuck it out, and that was it was too metal. So Wind's Mane for my least favorite, and here's where I think we will be the same. So at first, interestingly enough, at first I chose The Moon as my favorite, but then when I finished the whole album, I changed it to My Name Is Night. I kind of feel like, I mean, obviously we'll wait till you talk to see, but that is my favorite song because just the duet of the duet with, what's her name? Let me bring it up. Duet with Petronia Nevermum. I know I screwed that up. But it was how she came in at first, and then the guy came in second, and then it just became this big, larger than life thing. Oh, it was a joy to hear, and especially perfect. Not only do they have the best intros, but somehow they also have the best outros, which is quite funny. They nailed it. The harmonies, the duet, everything about it. 10 out of 10 track. Recommend it to anyone, and The Devil's Advocate, best track.
Yeah, right. Well, see, I'm in two minds about my favorite track, because like you said, we kind of listen to a lot of really good albums lately, and it's very hard to pick a bad song. And not only that, but it's very hard to pick one best song. So this album in particular, being so flawless, it just made our jobs even more difficult today. I mentioned My Name Is the Night because earlier on, because it's absolutely beautiful. I was in two minds whether to make Northwards or My Name Is Night my favorite track, but I think ultimately the song that I'd listen to most and I could share with people the most is My Name Is the Night, because like you said, it's just magical, it's beautiful, everything about the song is a 10 out of 10, it's absolutely flawless. The guest vocalist, by Petronola is absolutely amazing, you know, and Tommy's very lyrical, clean vocals come out, especially in this song. You know, it's just beautiful. So just to just to go 50-50 with you this week, bro, I'm gonna go with that one as my favorite track. But I would like to say that Northwards came in very close because that song is absolutely deadly. If you were to chat about the more, you know, melodic death metal kind of progressive rock songs on the album, because I think My Name Is the Night is more of a progressive ballad in a way, like. But if you would put the rest of the go for the melodic death metal, progressive metal vibe, I think Northwards would win it because, I mean, it's an absolute juggernaut of a sound. You know, Tommy's vocals are absolutely unreal on it. The production straight off the bat, you're just like, oh, this is flawless. This is absolutely like as best as you could possibly ever need to be. There's that lovely opetty prog vibe off it too, and there's that vibe organ solo, which it's one of the nicest sounds. We've talked about the vibe uh, keys sound before. I was chatting about Richie Kotzen and stuff like that, and it's just amazing, like Deep Purple, like you said. So anyway, that's my one, and very closely to is Northwards. I had to mention it because it came very, very close at the end. So my least favorite track, might actually surprise you, and it's only because of one thing. It's a really good track. It starts off lovely. It's track number 7, Seven Roads Come Together. Now, it's a really good song. There's, you know, lovely, you know, spacey metal vibes, if that makes sense. You know, it's like, it's got, you can imagine floating away into space with a guitar with this track, right? But I don't know. There's like a lovely, super hopeful vibe off it with an epic opeth type kind of direction to it as well. It's lovely and fast tempo. There's so much good about it, you know. It's just there's one little thing that I don't like, and this is my own pet hate for a long time. It's this drum beat, this drum pattern with the hats and the snare that goes boom da 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 boom da da da. I don't know what it is that I just I can't stand it. It's like if you can imagine it's the snare gets it da da da. It gets this like it's just take one of them snare hits out, and this song is perfect. You know, it's just. And even if he was to do it the odd time, you know, I know this is completely nitpicking, but I had to because it's a flawless album, and it's just one little bit, and it's a stylistic choice, and it's just something I've never liked. The bands like Muse use it a lot, and you know, I don't know. I wouldn't. It's just something that turns me off. But around that, the song is absolutely beautiful. Like it's really lovely. Like I said, the bridge has this floaty trumpet sound. Like, you know, you could imagine just floating around. There's a choir. They actually, something we never mentioned. There's quite, you know, it's dialed right down in the mix, but there's choirs used in quite a lot of songs. Lovely, like full choirs, beautiful, but they have them low in the mix, just kind of like almost layered under Tommy's vocals, which is really interesting. But then again, that's the Jens producing mastery. But yeah, I know I hate picking a song just because of one little bit in the song, but it is a pet hate of mine. And sure, who am I anyway? What do I know? But I'm just that's what I go with that. So yeah, that's my least favorite, number 7.
Well, pretty unorganized episode this week, but yeah, they all can't be perfect, I guess. You know, we try our best, but sometimes one to slip. But I've already got my pick for next week, and if you guys listening at home, if you guys don't understand why I nicknamed myself the Serpent Tongue, you'll find out next week, because I know I'm gonna have some very strong opinions, and I feel like once I announce it in a second, you might understand why, maybe. And if not, obviously I'll just tell you in messages afterwards. But right. album, which I think one you might be very familiar with, and it's one of my favorite albums ever in the metal genre, is the 2007 debut album by Suicide Silence, The Cleansing.
Interesting.
And I have some very strong opinions about the new lineup, but that will be for next week. So yeah, I don't. Are you familiar with that album?
I'm. Well, I mean, Mitch sang on it, right? So I'd be familiar. We mentioned Mitch last week, so I'd be familiar to an extent with all of their albums. So yeah, happy days, man. That's an interesting one.
Fantastic album, and I can't wait to talk about it yet. So
sweet, man. Happy days.
Cool. Well, we've got when we upload this episode, we'll be uploading a special thing to YouTube, and that will be real fun. So if we just thought, so stay tuned. You'll get the episode very soon, and then you'll get a bonus video edition. Awesome.
This is possibly why we are ever so slightly disorganized, because our minds are on something else this week. So stay tuned.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, this is second. I was gonna say, just stay on the video when we end.
Yeah, I'll stay on, bro.
Yeah. All right, but to the listeners at home, same time, same place, or something.
Best of luck, everybody.